Hi, my name is Kiana Lee, and I'm the Accessibility Programming Intern for EcoLogik. Has anyone been to a national park before? There are 423 national parks in the national park system. There's one very special one right here in San Diego called Cabrillo National Monument. That's where we will be taking a virtual field trip today. We will be exploring one of my favorite parts of Cabrillo National Monument. It's a place called the Rocky Intertidal Ecosystem, but you might know it as the Tidepools. But before we talk about this ecosystem, we need to first define what an ecosystem is. What do you think an ecosystem is? So the Rocky Intertidal Ecosystem is this place where marine organisms and sea creatures live. And it's actually a really special place for two big reasons. We are going to use our powers of observation as scientists to take a look at this picture. What do you notice? What do you see? Is there a lot of life? Yes. All of the rocks are coated with life, from different types of algae to seagrass to barnacles to anemones. There are a lot of different types of species and living things. This is something called high biodiversity. I know that's a big word, biodiversity, but let's break it down. What does bio mean? What does diversity mean? Put them together and you have a variety of different species. So a high level of biodiversity is one of the factors that makes this place special. But if you remember, I said there were two reasons. So we have high biodiversity, and the second reason is that this is one of the most extreme places to live on Earth. What do you think makes it so extreme? The tides. Multiple times a day, the water goes out into a low tide, completely exposing the sea life and marine organisms to factors like the sun and the wind. So all of the sea life that lives in the Rocky Intertidal has figured out how to survive in this extreme environment. It's called having an adaptation. So, what is an adaptation? What does it mean to adapt to something? Right. It's kind of like these creatures have superpowers that help them to survive and thrive. So, what are some of the factors or things that these species in the rocky intertidal need to adapt to? We already talked about the tides going out and what they might be feeling when they are no longer covered in water. Right. Things like the sun, the wind, and even rain. These are definitely things that species will need to get used to or adapt to. What else might they need to adapt to? Where do these species get their food? Like, for example, if you were a fish, what would you eat? Would you worry about being eaten? By what? Right, predators. Like, for instance, sharks. They eat other animals like fish. We call this predation, where predators eat their prey. Has anyone seen the show Monsters Inside Me? Monsters Inside Me? What does that mean? There are little creatures called parasites that live inside other creatures. This is also something that plants and animals have to get used to. So, all those factors, the sun, the wind, the tides, predation, parasites, and more, they all sculpt an ecosystem. That is, they make an ecosystem the way it is. And they dictate what adaptations all the species, all the biodiversity have that live there. And now, we are going to explore these tidepool creatures and their adaptations with this video filmed in Cabrillo's rocky intertidal ecosystem. Pay close attention because I'm going to quiz you on it at the end. Does anyone know what this animal is? It's a sea anemone. Have you touched a sea anemone before? What does it feel like? That stickiness is actually the sea anemone stinging you. But don't worry, that sting, it can't hurt us. We are too big. They have special cells called nematocysts that contain barbs with poison in them. Whenever their prey, like a little fish, touches their tentacles, they release that barb, which makes their prey go rigid. Then they pull in that fish into the middle of their body where their mouth is and eats it. But since we're so big, when we are stung, it just feels like sticky tape. So their stinging tentacles are an adaptation or superpower to eat, to hunt, and catch their food. What do you think this creature is? It's a marine snail, just like the snails that live in your garden. But these ones live in the ocean. But this snail is very special, and it has to do with what it eats. What do the snails in your garden eat? Plants. Well, these snails, called Kellett's whelks, are different. They are predators. They prey on other animals. They have this long spear-like structure called a proboscis that they use to puncture the shells of other snails. Then they climb on top of the hole and suck the snail out. So their proboscis is an adaptation or superpower to hunt and catch their food. Does anyone know what this is? It's a hermit crab. Most crabs create their own shells. This is important because it protects their soft bodies from predators. Hermit crabs are different. They do not make their own shells. Instead, they find abandoned shells from other species and move in. But as they grow, they get too big for their shell homes. So they have to abandon it and find a new one. So that is their adaptation or superpower. Anyone know what this pink volcano looking thing is? It's a thatched barnacle. What's around its body? It's a shell. Why does it have a shell? For protection. From what? Predators, the sun, the wind, and when the tide goes out. When the tide goes low, it can keep a pocket of water inside to survive so it doesn't dry out or get hot. So this species' adaptation or superpower is a shell for protection from those factors. What the heck is this green stuff? It kind of looks like a plant, and it acts a bit like a plant, but it's actually something called algae. This kind of algae is called a green algae. In fact, its species name is dead man's fingers because it looks a little bit like limp, wiggling fingers in the tide. Just like plants and other types of algae, the dead man's fingers photosynthesizes. Whew, that's a big word. Does anyone know what that means? Photosynthesis? It means this algae makes its own food by turning sunlight into energy. Whoa, I wish I could make my own food with the sun. Then I'd never have to go grocery shopping or cook ever again. What are these? They're fish. Actually, their name is the zebrafish. And their pattern is similar to a zebra. So, why do they have stripes like a zebra? Does anyone know what that reason is? It's a defense mechanism for the fish. It's designed to confuse their predators. Stripes like this break up the background and can make it hard for the predator to tell the difference between the background and the animal, which can make it really hard to catch it. It's almost a bit like camouflage. Now you have an activity. You have two options to pick from. Either a real rocky intertidal organism, or you invent a rocky intertidal organism and you are going to draw it. So let's get started. You'll need a pencil and paper and follow the directions. I have one last important message for all of you. But first, who is this? Right, the lorax. What does the lorax do? This is called environmental stewardship, which means the protection of the environment. The lorax is an environmental steward, and so am I, because I preserve and protect the beautiful rocky intertidal zone and Cabrillo National Monument in general. But you know what? You can be an environmental steward with me and the lorax. We need your help to protect. I can't do it by myself. You can help how? By saving water and don't throw trash. And there's so much more. Thank you so much. Bye.